Welcome back to STL Live. I'm Sarah Bernard, and my guest is Jessica Meyers of the Crime Victim Advocacy Center. She's the Director of Advocacy Services, have been for 12 years.
Yes.
And my, oh my, I can't even imagine a day in your life, what that must be like. So tell us a little bit about your role and the kinds of cases that you're working on.
So in addition to my role as Director of Advocacy Services, I'm also what we call the Special Victims Advocate. That means I work with predominantly homicide victims' families. I have about 125 open cases with homicide victims' families that I'm working with for assistance with funeral expenses, or counseling with one of our free counselors, or help with the criminal justice system, helping them understand the police, getting information to the police department from those families. I also work with any of our clients that have special needs, if they have developmental disabilities, if English isn't their first language. Also, victims of any hate and bias crime would fall under our Special Victim Advocacy Program.
So how long do you typically work with a victim or family members of a victim?
Usually we work with them, it can be as short as 3 months. It can be, most of our homicide cases are 6 to 18 months after the crime happens, but there's no time limit on our services. So we have clients that lost a loved one to homicide 5 years ago that are still coming to counseling. We have people that were victimized as children and now as adults they're coming to our counseling. So it's important to note that there's no time limit on any of the services that we offer.
And anyone who's been a victim of crime can call for services.
Yes, we serve victims of all different types of crime, and we serve them regardless of where it is in the criminal justice system. And if we can't meet that need, we will do our best to find someone else who can.
So, and within your staff, how big is your staff? And you have people that are answering the phones, you have people that are working as counselors, that kind of thing, correct?
Yes, so our staff is about 13 people. We have a couple lawyers that do free legal representation for orders of protection. We have 4 advocates that work predominantly with domestic violence, and they're in the city and county police departments and courts. Then we have 2 counselors. Then we have a couple staff that also work as counselors on a part-time basis. And then we have a couple advocates in our main office that work on all of the other types of crime besides domestic violence.
Okay, so you've got an event coming up, and that's one way that people can get involved to help out, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We are a private nonprofit, and so we rely on grants and fundraisers and individual donations to keep our services available, and all our services are free. So that's one of the big things that we need to fundraise for. And so we have our 19th annual Party with a Purpose. It's coming up November 10th, and this is a night of fun. It's a cocktail party, it's a silent auction, it's appetizers and live jazz music, and it's an opportunity for our staff and our supporters to get together and celebrate that we have been working with victims for this long. And it specifically funds our Legal Advocates for Abused Women program. So this funds our direct services to victims of domestic violence.
Okay, are there other ways that the community can get involved in the organization?
Yeah, we accept individual donations. We have training and technical assistance. So if you have a business or a group that would like more information on how to work with staff members who have been victimized, how to keep your staff safe, how to understand domestic violence and how it affects your community and your staff, we're more than happy to come out and do that. We talk to community groups and other agencies. We do trainings for law enforcement. We're getting ready to do several trainings for law enforcement. So we're just eager to get the message out there of that there are services for victims, and that there is a way that we believe victims should be treated. And we're speaking the gospel of how to treat victims effectively and respectfully.
Right. So anybody who feels they're a victim of a crime, knows they're a victim, maybe it was far in the past, maybe it was more recent, can contact the Crime Center for Advocacy Services for help.
Absolutely, and witnesses as well. You don't have to be the direct victim of the crime. As long as you were negatively affected by the crime, you can call for our counseling services.
Very good. All right, Jessica, thank you so much for taking time out of your obviously very busy caseload and schedule to come talk to us today. For more on Crime Victim Advocacy Center, visit supportvictims.org. There's more STL Live after this. Stay with us.